Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. What I'm about to say now, it sounds very logical and natural. But people are often operating in an inverted way of thinking because they've been conditioned by the world. And when you are conditioned by the world, you begin to see things upside down and inside out. That is what worldly conditioning does onto you. So what I'm about to say now, it's quite obvious, but I need to say it. You need to begin to question the good times. Okay, let me say it again. You need to start to question the good times. Now, why would you need to question the good times? Haven't you noticed that human beings, in general, I'm not saying everyone in the absolute sense is doing this, but in general, human beings don't question things, especially when things are going easy. I'm not saying things are going well, but when things are going easy, they often assume things are going well. The presumption is when things are going easy and there's comfort, let's say comfortable feelings, and there's validation from others, things are going well. That's the presumption, the unquestioned presumption we have. Well, unquestioned, I mean unexamined. That's an unexamined expectation people have by default. That's why it's only when discomfort arises that people begin to ask questions. And even then, the questions they ask are questions relating to the comfort they are clinging to. That's what human beings often do. When something good comes, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, or whether it's a car, that's an object or an opportunity, or whatever it is, we cling onto it. We don't want to lose it. And this brings euphoria. Clinging makes you feel great. It does. But clinging also blinds you from looking beyond. There's nothing wrong with wanting to keep a certain good with you. There's nothing wrong with that. But beware of clinging. Because once you begin to cling, you're holding on. And when you're clinging, you begin to see others in line of your clinging. So you're not looking at reality anymore. Reality is there, but you only see whatever benefits you're clinging versus what is a danger you're clinging. And this clinging divides people in two camps. Those that are for you and those that are against you. Now there are those that are against you, objectively, those exist. And there are those that are for you, that exist also. But when you're clinging, you see things only in line with what you're clinging onto. And after a while, the clinging becomes more important than the good you're holding onto. Because truth being told, often the good you're holding onto suffers because you're clinging onto that good. And then, when the good disappears, it can be a relationship ends, or you're fired from a job, or circumstance suddenly changes. There's a big disruption, and now you're upset, you're shocked, because what you're clinging onto isn't there anymore. You lost it. And now you want to question, you want answers. But here's the thing. During the so-called good times, where you were clinging onto that good, were those times good to begin with? And that good you're holding on to, was it really good to begin with? I mean, was it really good for you? Because not every good thing is going to be good for you. For example, a car can be a good thing. A car is a practical thing. But if you are an alcoholic and you need recovery, then a car may not be a good idea because you're still struggling with alcoholism, so it's better not for you to have a car then. Or else you might endanger yourself. So a car, even though it's a good thing in itself, it may not be good for you in that condition. But here's the thing, we often don't question good times. As I mentioned before, we label good times times when things go easy. When we don't face any resistance or any challenges, that's what we call good times. But are those times even good? We don't want to consider it. We often cling so much to the comforts that are provided unto us that we don't question who is providing those comforts. Don't you know that Satan is aware of this? Don't you know he has specialized himself in deceiving mankind? He's been doing that for thousands of years. Billions have come before you. Satan and his demons are quite experienced. They know what they're doing. They know very well that human beings, because they're not renewed in their mind, most of them, even believers, many of them are not renewed in their mind, Satan knows that human beings in general, they want to cling on to stuff. Because clinging on to stuff provides a form of satisfaction that they're craving. It's like their drug. And this clinging, even though it's a normal worldly behavior, it blinds you, it traps you, and you can't look further because you're so into what you're clinging onto. So what does the enemy do? The enemy provides certain comforts to you, knowing very well that you will cling onto them. And the enemy will also provide people that will support you in clinging onto those comforts. And the enemy doesn't have to do anything anymore. Once you're clinging and you are supported by a support group into that clinging, you're finished. Sooner or later, that clinging, that holding on, is going to produce so much tension that it will escalate. So you think you're having a good time, or that you're in good times, but you're really being set up. It's a time bomb that's been set up for you, but you don't notice it. Okay, you want me to give an illustration? As I often do, I'll give an illustration. You have Jeffrey, a common guy, and he moves to another place and he gets a set of friends. Those friends are exciting, in the sense that they do exciting stuff. They go on holidays, they go backpacking, they're not boring people. And Jeffrey also has a job, so he has money, so he now has people to spend money upon. Through those group of friends, he meets Meg, whom he falls in love with. So things just happen for Jeffrey. What happens? Jeffrey clings onto those friendships and onto Meg also. And his parents are happy for him. His colleagues are happy for him because, man, Jeffrey's happy, they think. But hold on a minute. A few years pass by. Some of those friends suddenly stop talking to each other. Just a few remain, including Jeffrey. And Jeffrey begins to think, what has happened? Jeffrey wanted answers. Suddenly other things begin to fall apart in Jeffrey's life. People at the job aren't happy with him. There are new people on the workforce and Jeffrey's about to lose his job. Fortunately, Meg helped him getting another job. But eventually he's left with no friends. And even in his relationship with Meg, things were not going that well. So now he was in distress. He was kind of becoming depressed, thinking, why is his life falling apart? Now, here's what happened. This Jeffrey, when he got those friends and things were going so great, he never questioned the good time. Look, when something great or something good happens, you rejoice. You're not going to become cynical and question it and bring contention to the good time. You get what I'm saying here? But you ought to look at the bigger picture. That's what I mean with questioning the good times. I'm not saying that you become cynical or that you expect harm or that you're going to let me say this, look for demons behind every bush. No, I'm not saying that. But you ought to look at the bigger picture. Jeffrey didn't do that. Jeffrey never questioned how those friends managed to go on holiday so often and do all of that. He never questioned how their family ties were. When he met Meg, also, he didn't really question much. He just thought, okay, this is a good thing, I embrace it. So Jeffrey was holding on, but his holding on distracted him. Because at the job, things were changing, things were shifting. He didn't even notice it. He spent 5 years going on expensive holidays, spending on expensive gifts to Meg. And it was all going well because he had the money. He was in debt or anything like that. But because he was so distracted by the good things that he was holding on to, he didn't realize that the workplace where he worked changed. The climate became bitter. There were many conflicts at the workplace. He didn't experience any of them, but still the workplace was affected. If he would have realized this, he would have realized also that he needs to look for another job. And he would have taken extra courses to school himself so he could work in another field also, because the job also provided extra courses. But Jeffrey was so into his friends and his girlfriend that he didn't notice the change that was going on. So when he found another job, the new job he found paid worse than his previous job, because he never realized that on his previous job they didn't really pay him as they should. He only realized it afterwards. And it's when the so-called good times disappeared that Jeffrey realized, hold on a minute, I've been trapped. Now, he was still happy he had Meg, but he realized also that she wasn't really that much of a support. Yes, she helped him get another job, but she did never really look beyond, and she wasn't even really that supportive of him. So his eyes opened, but he couldn't understand how he ended up in that situation. I'm telling you why he ended up in that situation. He never looked at the bigger picture. Look, question the good times isn't putting question marks and looking for a fight. That's not what I'm teaching here. I'm telling you to look at things in their entirety. If you meet certain people and you have a good time, okay, embrace it, rejoice that you have people that are willing to spend time with you and have a good time with you. But look beyond. What type of people are they? First of all, are they born again? If they're not, okay, then they're not born again. You don't have to accuse them or blame them for not being born again. But still, you know that they're not saved. So they only have worldly ways of thinking. Then at least you're prepared. You know what you're dealing with. Okay, if they're not born again, what type of people are they around? Are they involved in weird cults? How do they relate to the opposite sex? How do they relate to their parents? Do they have toxic parents that they keep in their lives? Because if that's the case, then the influence of those toxic parents will also reach you. I mean, look at the bigger picture. Look at things in their entirety. I mean, too often, when good times appear, we just cling on to it and we don't ask any questions. We just want to be left alone because things are going easy for us. That is a trap. And Satan knows many of you operate like this. So you make it very easy for the enemy to trap you and deceive you. Look, clinging provides satisfaction. That's why people do it. We often do it without being aware of it. It's almost a natural behavior that we cling onto things that we consider dear unto us. To some extent, it's understandable, but you need to understand this attitude of clinging, it's dangerous. Because you're not living in a righteous world. You're not. Absolutely not. You have righteous people around that walk by faith, that's true, but you live in an unrighteous, fallen world. So even the people that have good intention towards you can have powers behind them working to cause destruction. Not all people that are unsaved have bad intentions or rejoice in evil. No, but they're still unsaved. They still have wrong thinking patterns. So unclean spirits can still use them to cause destruction. You need to understand this. That's why it's important to look at the bigger picture. Look, if you're having a good time, but you also realize that these good times are keeping you trapped in a circle, then begin to move further. You don't have to cut off people just like that. You don't have to cause trouble, but just begin to move further. It's that easy. Begin to move further. Why? Because when you notice that it's good time, it's really a trap to keep you in a cycle, and you move further, you're free from it. It's that easy. But a lot of folks are so much into holding on that they don't want to move further. Well, you can choose not to move further. That's an option, but there will be consequences. Because when those good times suddenly turn into sour times, well, you're not prepared. Christ told us to be alert. He didn't tell us to be alert because he wanted us to focus on evil. No, he wants us to be alert so that we are aware of what's going on around us. And too many folks get distracted by good times. Good times can be a weapon used by the enemy to kill, steal, and destroy. But okay, that's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.